Okay, so let's talk about the situation. What led up to the actual hostage situation?
It was an arrest scenario. I was the new guy. I was about as far removed from the action as you could be. The arrest team went in to take control of the suspect, and he took off running. And without thinking, without training, without any experience, just my instincts were to go get him, go chase him. And, I was not fast for a football player. I was not fast enough to play in the NFL, but by cop terms, in Copland, I was very fast, right? So I was running past my partners. I was running past the people that were in pursuit. The suspect got away. He hid. And in the search for him, he was laying in some deep grass. And as I walked past him, he popped up out of the grass and had his gun on me. And that's how it went down.
Okay, so he pulled out a gun on you, and then what happens next?
Well, he swung around behind me. He had one arm around my neck and the other with the gun to my head. He walked me to one of the government vehicles that we'd used to arrive at the arrest scene. It was a two-door Monte Carlo, and he pushed me in the front seat, climbed in the back seat behind me, and basically wanted to have me drive him away. He wanted me to be his driver on his escape. And, I knew, even without any experience, I knew that if I left with him, that this was going to turn out bad. And what I didn't want to happen was drive this guy down the highway and have him execute me on my knees, on the side of the road. I had partners around. And so my first plan was to ram our car into a telephone pole. I thought, I got to put an end to this now. And then my plan B was I pulled the keys out of the ignition and dropped them to the floorboard. And I said, man, I dropped the keys. And as I leaned forward to pick the keys up, the gun came off my head. And then all the agents who'd surrounded the car just lit it up. It was a 10-second lead and glass storm that was worse than anything you'd ever see in a Hollywood film.
Okay, because he fired off a shot which hit you in the lung, right?
Yeah, the gun, when he fired the round, was pressed against my back after I'd leaned forward. The round, it went in my back, it went through my lung, it narrowly missed my heart, and it exited my chest.
Okay, and after he shot, your partners basically started to shoot him into the car, right?
From every direction, from the front, from the sides, from the back. I mean, this guy, man, he got ventilated that day.
Okay, so now you're lying in the car bleeding, and there's a dead man behind you, and there's a bunch of your cop, associates, basically, I'm sure, somewhat panicking as to what's happening right now, right? So what did they do? They just got you to the hospital real quick, or?
It was chaotic. They pulled the victim, the guy that shot me, who died on the scene after he was shot. They pulled him out of the car. They pushed me in the back seat where he had been, raced me to the hospital. I remember being wheeled in on a gurney in the hospital, and I'm laying on my back and I'm looking up at the nurse, and I asked her, "Am I going to die?" And she looked down at me and she said, "We don't know yet." And I was like, man, that's bad bedside manner, man. Tell me what I want to hear, right? And then, so I was choking, I was suffocating. I had what's termed as a sucking chest wound, which technically you have a hole in your chest. So when you inhale, you're actually sucking air into your chest cavity versus into your lung, and it further collapses your lung. It's also called a sucking chest wound because it just straight sucks to have that. Yeah, I was suffocating. And so I heard the doctor split my side open with a scalpel, and I heard him say, "I need some rib spreaders." And they pop the cartilage out between your ribs, and they use a ratchet tool and separate your ribs and create space. And then they stuck a chest tube in there and started suctioning out all that fluid and blood so that I could breathe again.
Okay. How long after the shooting do you actually wake up and you realize what had happened?
You know what? I recovered really quick. I was in the hospital for not an extended period of time. Like I said, I was an athlete, a pretty high performing athlete. Prior to that, I was in good shape. I was fit. What I do recall is, excuse me, is there was attorneys, personal injury attorneys lining up at the hospital who wanted to talk to me. And one after the other, they were coming in my hospital room and saying, do you know what $1 million looks like? You know, how about $5 million? And I had no idea what that kind of money was. I grew up in a blue collar home. They're saying their demonstration to me was that I was put in a situation that I wasn't yet trained for. I wasn't prepared for. The agency had assumed a lot of liability in that situation. And their argument was, just tell me how many zeros you want on the check and we will get it for you. We can get you generational money. And my answer, no cop that I ever met ever took the job thinking that they were going to get rich or took it for money. They take it for other reasons. And my reaction was just like, get out. I don't want the money. I don't need the money. I just wanted another chance to see if I could come back and do it better and do it right.
Well, right, because at that point, you could have taken disability retirement, right? And basically gotten a pension and just lived off that, right? Or no?
Yeah, like in theory, I could have cashed out and taken a big settlement and taken a disability probably and left the job. That was, 35 years ago that took place. 35 years ago, I just wanted to get back to work. Now, 35 years later, I'm 62 years old. I'm thinking like, man, you know what? That might not have been such a good decision to make. But nonetheless, I just wanted to work. I took the job because I wanted to work.